with the bros and you know we'll be mobbing. Had the Kataz in December, we tried it.
Welcome back to another episode of Day in a Sports Life. This story tonight is a little personal story about my journey as a young child, a young kid, a human being, a collegiate athlete, student athlete, and now an entertainer. Now, the story is about passion, determination, grit. The story is about the development of learning a new craft and becoming fluent with this craft to the point that I am honing in on this potential of mine and I'm being able to express it in the best way possible. I'll talk about my passion for sports journalism. Now, sports journalism led me into becoming a entertainer and a person who loves to delve into multimedia. We're talking about marketing, editing, and videography. And one thing I love now, I truly love film. And if you want to get film reviews, you can tune in to my late night talk radios shows that are video essays where I break down film analysis, any films, working my way from the early 1900s into the 2000s to the modern film age that we have entered in 2024 now. Now, where we start is growing up, I wanted to be a sports commentator. This passion of mine came from watching sports commentators on ESPN and also listening to them on the NFL games on Sunday, Monday night. I was a huge fan of watching these sports commentators really analyze the games like that. I realized that was something that I wanted to do as a kid. I was very passionate about it. And when I was a kid, I used to play the video game Madden and NCAA, but pertaining particularly Madden, I would commentate on those games. I would sit there and I would literally be the play-by-play announcer. I would be the play analyst, sideline reporter, and the rules analyst. I was all four of the positions in one, and I'm the only person sitting there just playing the game. I'm playing offense. What does it matter if I'm playing offense, defense? I'm just there analyzing and announcing the game. And for me, it just made the game more impactful. It made it more it kept me more in tune and invested into the game. I was really engaged into it as opposed to just sitting there playing it silent. I was sitting there and I'm just enjoying every single process of the game. Now, yeah, I wasn't the best player when I was a kid. There was a Madden game, Madden 2009, where you can hit the rewind button. I used to hit I used to set my settings to I can rewind after every single play. So if I made a bad play, I threw an interception, rewind. If I had incompletion, rewind, turnover, rewind. And I'm sitting there just rewinding every single time just because like you can take advantage of those tools that they have. But as Madden went along, you weren't able to do that with the tools. Now, it's kind of getting me sidetracked. And now I'm just talking about Madden, but that's kind of where it all started is with the game, the video game. I used to just sit there and analyze it, be a sports commentator, sports announcer, and I drew influence from one of the sports announcers on the video game NCAA. His name was Kirk Herbstreit, and he was literally the animated announcer in the game. And I grew familiar with him first before starting to watch more NFL games. And I was like, Kirk Herbstreit. That's all the names that you hear throughout every single game introduction was his name. And I was like, oh wow, he has a pretty cool job. I wanted to become kind of invested into the style of sports commentating, and he was the first person to kind of really introduce me to that because I played the video games a lot. Now, other sports commentators that I enjoyed watching, that I grew to learn about, was the people who were on the ESPN shows. They were on like the Sports Center Top 10. These were Stuart Scott, the late Stuart Scott. He is somebody who changed the way you talked about sports, the way you did color commentating, and it's unfortunate that he passed away years ago. But that was somebody I grew up to. I looked up to. He was a big influence to me with sports announcing and the way he was engaging into the game. He was able to allow the viewers to get immersed into the game. For me, that's how I enjoyed watching it. Other commentators who did what he did was, I'm going to name off some: Rich Eisen, Kurt Herbstreit, who I just talked about the NCAA game. Now he also announces NFL games too. Then you have Charles Davis, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Jim Nance, Tiki Barber, who played for the New York Giants, and I'm a New York Giants fan. So when I realized that Tiki Barber was a announcer, I was like, wow. So, and you started to realize that a lot of the former NFL players, former athletes turned into these commentators. So it felt like the passion for them, for the game, just changed. It transformed into this world of where, instead of me being on the field playing, it's now about me being in the booth and talking about it, analyzing it through my profession, through my professional expertise on the game, because I played it. Now I'm looking at it through a different lens as opposed to being a person who hasn't played the sport. Somebody maybe like Stephen A. Smith, who he hasn't played like on an NFL level, on a professional level, but he really knows the game. But compared to another person, per se, you want to talk about Michael Strahan, who played the game. They have different perspectives. They have different insight. They're coming from different backgrounds of being surrounded by the sport. And I truly enjoyed watching all these different crews really kind of work together, form that camaraderie with each other. You have the Sports Center ESPN team. You have the Fox Sunday crew, which is Kurt Menefee, Michael Strahan, Howie Long, Jay Glazer, Terry Bradshaw, Jimmy Johnson. Seeing that crew as a youngin', I was like, oh, Jimmy Johnson. They would just always boast about him winning his, was it, I believe, 3 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys, and just seeing Terry Bradshaw, who played with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they all have these good backgrounds, and it all stems from them playing in the NFL. Now here they are in their older age, their mature age, and they're now analyzing the game from a different perspective, from a new perspective, fresh, but it all stems from them being players. And for me, I just I just enjoy it. I would sit there and just listen to them talk about the game, and it really was very engaging for me. Now, there's different positions to being a sports announcer. There's the play-by-play announcers, for example, Jim Nance, Kevin Harlan. There's the play analyst, who is Tiki Barber, Trent Green. The play analyst is the guy who's sitting there analyzing the play as it goes along, maybe before it, after it. They're telling you, they're breaking it down of how the play was ran, looking through the lenses of the quarterback, the schemes that they were running. Then you have the sideline reporter like Pam Oliver. She's somebody who's like throughout the game 24/7. She's updating you with news feeds, updating you with reports, injury reports, getting you in tuned into what's going on the sideline. They're talking with the coaches. What are the coaches prepping for in the second half? What is happening in the first half? Just getting their feedback live about the game. And that's their job in the silent reporters. I enjoy Pam Oliver for the job that she was able to do being a sideline reporter, because all of their roles are very impactful, and it plays a pivotal role into how you analyze the game and how you get these reports throughout the game. You need everybody to be on point doing their position. Another person is the rules analyst. That's Mike Pereira and you have Dean Blandino. These are the people where there's a flag on the field. It might be a controversial call, but you need to look towards them to be someone, if they're not making the calls, but they at least get us informed on, is it the correct call? Is it the right officiating rule to call right here? Or is it somewhere where they made a mistake? And when they're telling us their feedback, we're sitting there like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then they make the call in the field, and it's either correlating to what the rules analyst says, or it differentiates from what they said. And now we're at the viewer, we're tuned into, and we understand, okay, maybe the referee made a mistake, or maybe the referee made the right call and the player was wrong, or the referees were in the wrong. But we're understanding and we're learning as the game goes, because these different announcers, these different analyzers, and they are informing us. They are teaching us about the game as it's being played. If they weren't there, we're just sitting there watching it. What are we doing? Watching bodies just swinging around. But they bring that enthusiasm into the game. So when you have a specific group of announcers in the booth, they really impact the game in a different way that you don't think about. Because if they're just sitting there talking, having mundane conversations, then you're not going to really be engaged into the game. But if they're actually there, really being colored announcers, really having enthusiasm about what they're doing, and really pulling that audience out from the screen into the game. If you're able to get immersed into the game, you're going to enjoy it. And that's what I love about this craft, is that I enjoy it. I enjoy talking about sports. I enjoy analyzing sports. I enjoy analyzing film. And this really brought me into the world of media. But as a young kid, as a high school student, I didn't understand that in the beginning. I didn't understand that this is where it was leading me to. It was leading me into the multimedia world, the entertainment world. I thought it was like, oh, I'm just going to be a sports journalist. I'm just going to be writing. But no, it really brought me into this world of where I can look at multimedia from different facets of life, where you can be a marketer, you can be an influencer, you can be an analyzer, you can create video essays, you can just do so much with media. And it all stems from being a sports journalist. Now, going into college, I wanted to become a sports journalist. My freshman year of college, I became a sports journalist. Not became, but I took sports journalism classes. I started off freshman year taking feature sports writing. Now, I started to develop the interest of film and media studies. With feature sports writing, we would write these sports features. They're probably nonfiction, or it's truly nonfiction writing. It's about historical sports moments from the past, and now you're telling it through your lens about it. You're doing your research, your history lessons, and then you're creating this story to recap what happened in the past. So for me, I started to talk about what I saw as a kid, not these stories about these professionals, but these local athletes. As a kid, I used to watch my dad, who was a high school coach. He still is now. He was a receivers coach, offensive coordinator. Now he's a head coach. And I used to watch him and his team, American Heritage Stallions. Then they used to make these crazy runs in the playoffs, and it would catapult and it would spread into this championship run. And these are just historical moments. These are memories of mine that just stay with me because I enjoyed it as a kid. And even though I'm sitting there playing on my toys in the state championship game in the stadium, I still remember those times where the fans are just celebrating, the athletes on the sideline are just celebrating. Everyone's just happy because it's um such a groundbreaking moment in life, just moving to win a championship or to be a part of that process as a fan, to watch it, to see it break down in front of you and watch your son, cousin, relative, or just a friend go out there and play a sport they love and win it. And they've done it 3 times. So I talked about my freshman year, just watching team, this team come together. There was a lot of certain animosity between players. There was some conflict, but they resolved it as the season went along, and they created this run to get to the state championship game. And the story was beautiful. It ended sadly, it ended tragically, but it truly was a beautiful story to watch these players come together. When in the springtime, like months ago, 8 months ago, they were just sitting there about a fight. They were sitting there breaking down because the year before they couldn't make the playoffs. They never faced adversity like that to miss the playoffs, and now here we are struggling, and we don't know what our identity is. And just watching this team, the American Heritage Stallions, the 2014 team, form that new image, that new identity of themselves, to where they were like, "Hey, we're seniors. This is our year." We watched all of these other seniors, all these other athletes, the Greg Bryants, the Traynard Davis, everybody ball out and get to the collegiate level. This is our time to shine. We saw them win state championships. Who's playing JV? Who's on the field? Who's on the sideline? But now it's our time as leaders to step up and win. And I was the guy who sat there and who watched that, and I enjoyed it so much. And I had to tell that story. And I had to tell my story as an athlete too when I got to my senior year and the run I made, because to me, my senior year of football was so moving, so captivating for me. Like it still bothers me to the day that we weren't able to win a state championship, but I'm so proud of myself to the way I played that year, the way I was a silent leader because I was very humble. I wasn't outspoken. And for people to tell me, that was one of the best seasons, best player individual performances that we've seen. It's commending. I really appreciate the applause, the support I had, and I just grew so much confidence in that season. So I talked about two stories. It's one about this American Heritage football team making their run to the state championship, and then my senior year, my team making a run to the state championship. And one thing I learned about it is that I love the art of storytelling. Now we're talking about sports journalism, and now it's I'm transitioning, I'm transforming this skill, this knack into something else deeper that's bringing me into this new world, this new realm. And we're talking about sports journalism into storytelling. My sophomore year, I'm starting to do research. I'm starting to realize, what do I like? What is it that I like? I like to tell stories. Okay. Well, let's start taking different classes. Let's get into intro of media and society. All right. Let's get into media talk. Let's get into doing professional writing. Let's get into screenwriting. What is screenwriting? All right. Now I'm thinking to myself, what is screenwriting? Now, screenwriting is the art and craft of writing scripts for mass media, such as feature films, television productions, or video games. And really anything that needs a script, you can become a script writer and be the creator of a specific project. And that's what I liked. That's why I started to figure out that I liked as an individual. To me, being a screenwriter is like being a mad scientist. Now, scientists are always in the lab creating new hypotheses and they're coming up with new results and solutions for their tests. Now, for me, I'm an inventor, a storyteller, a creator of worlds. When I get into my writing zone, it's invigorating and liberating to deliver my own world inside of my mind. Now, then you translate those thoughts into cohesive, intricate storylines just to impress us. And look, it's very impressive what you can do with your mind. And when you put your pen to a paper or you chop in that final draft software to just create stories, it's about the imagination of what you can come up with in your mind. Because everyone has an imagination, but they don't know how to effectively communicate that, effectively translate what's in your mind to the paper and tell a story that's very cohesive, coherent. And sometimes it's not concise. It has to be long, drawn out stories that it's very, very intricate and complex that you just will confuse someone if they don't understand the little details. But to you, you understand it all because you're the scientist. You're the one who created it. Now, one thing I realized is um, that it's the same with writing an essay. You have draft one, draft two, draft three, and so on. As I continue to cultivate my writing skills, I would rework these stories and deconstruct the worlds I am creating and building them up from scratch again. It's fascinating how different the worlds are that I create from previous attempts. And I learned this my sophomore year when I had to write my first script, which was um, Battle Arena. Battle Arena to me was a cultivate. It was just everything that I enjoyed in my life. Now, outside of sports, I enjoy CBM movies, comic book movies. I enjoy Marvel, DC. Now, Battle Arena was about creating this sport to where you have it's like gladiator fighting inside of an arena. UFC, wrestling, all into one, smashed into this arena taking place in the future, to where you have this device where you can project your weapons out in front of you. You can project these defensive systems to help you win battles inside the arena. And it helps you fight these other fighters. And when you win, you advance and you have teammates. And that was what Battle Arena was. But the story changed so much. It went from like 60 pages to 80 pages. Now it's at 150 pages. And that's way more pages than I needed to make a feature film, which would be 120. That's me knocking off my mouse because I'm just so much energy is flowing right now as I'm just speaking about this all. Now, one thing about it too is that I feel like screenwriting and sports are really interconnected. Now, one thing about writing stories is that it's similar to playing sport. When you're on the field versus being a fan in the stands, you both are seeing the game through two different perspectives, right? Your adrenaline is pumping. You're nervous, excited, focused, and sharp on the task at hand. You're viewing the game through 100-yard radius. Think about that. You're as a fan, you're viewing the game in 100-yard radius, right? And whilst not allowing the outside crowds to throw you off, that's the perspective of an athlete. Is that you're on the field and you have 100 yards to work with. You can't be on the sideline when you're playing the game because you're out of bounds. Plays over. You're working within 100 yards. You can run around this 100 yards when the whistle blows. Boom, plays going on. You get tackled, ball on the ground, incompletion, plays over. All right. Now, the fans, on the other hand, are viewing the game as the means of pleasure, entertainment, and they don't truly recognize or appreciate the athletes that practice continuously on their craft. Some are burnt out and mentally drained or dealing with injuries that are either invisible or not diagnosed. And that's something that people don't understand, you know. And now for me, I was dealing with a couple of injuries, but they occurred to me later in my sports career. I had an injury my junior year where I partially tore my ACL. And it was something where it was just like, it was weird. And it kind of took me away from sport. It allowed me to kind of get a reset and relax and just focus on one thing at a time, which was catching the ball, as opposed to all these different things, learning the plays, catching the ball, being a weightlifter, being training in the gym, fitness, everything, agility. I was able to just focus on PT and catching the ball, and it made me love the sport even more. Now, this is one thing you have to understand is that all reactions are constructive and provide me with a sense of belonging and realization. Now, what I'm saying is that I enjoy all the different reactions. Everybody who comments on my writing, I appreciate. I've shown my writing to certain people in my life, my family, my friends, and a lot of them are like motivated. A lot of them are like, whoa, this is something different. This needs to be in the big screens. Holy moly. Some people are like, I don't understand it. And sometimes I'm like taken aback by like, you don't understand it? What do you mean you don't understand it? But I'm like, oh, they don't know every single detail. They don't know the plot. They don't know the hidden devices, the hidden stuff, the hidden messages that I haven't explained in depthly. So I understand where you're coming from. And you just have to kind of break it down to them, the structure. And there's so much that plays in a role in these intricate storylines that it's hard to grasp. It truly is. It's hard to grasp for me. I've had writer's block multiple times, and I've been thinking to myself, how am I going to get myself back into this space to write again? And you gotta really take yourself back. You gotta relax. You gotta really zone in and just sometimes just clear your mind. Same with playing a sport. You might be exhausted. I was very exhausted my junior year. And the fact that I was able to get injured, it took me back to a place where I'm like, I'm not on the field anymore. I could just relax. But now I'm missing it. All right. Let me practice on little things and work my way slowly to getting back on the field as healing up. Same with writing. You don't just go full force into it. You gotta work, you gotta build up that momentum slowly. You gotta do writing practices, write 1 page at a time, 1 page a day to 5 pages a day. Next thing you know, you're back at it, 20 pages a day. You're just creating a whole damn chapter. And that's how it is. That's how I enjoy it so much. And this brought me into a world of screenwriting, into the world of filmography and editing. To tag along with my love for screenwriting and storytelling, I now have a passion for film and video editing. Now, one thing I taught myself and I talked to you guys about on the last episode was repetition equals consistency. Now, living by this code has allowed me to learn in an effective way and develop my skills and understanding of film and being an editor. Out of college, I worked at a local film production company in Florida. I was a rookie at the time, and I learned from a very skillful mentor. You know, shout out to Austin Landers with, I'm pretty sure it's now Kino Kinetics. and he's a business owner. He's a videographer. He's just a well-rounded individual when it comes to film, and that is just somebody you just have to. I appreciate. I truly appreciate him a lot for what he has done for me, because I came out of college not really understanding how to like read film, how to really read the camera settings, and I learned a lot from him. He's a good mentor to me with teaching me how to be a better videographer, a better creative, how to be very creative. And I struggled. I struggled early on, but I was just learning as a youngin. And that was like 2 years ago. And now here I am in a different world. I'm working at this digital marketing company. And I always can look back at those experiences and take little hints, little notes, and just parts of that experience and really translate it and use it as a benefit to where I'm at now. And like I said, it is all working out perfectly. And one thing about me is that I tether the line between both, and I find myself becoming a jack of all trades, but trying to slowly continue to learn one craft to its greatest extent. It's conflicting battle, trying to learn everything at once, but I'm trying to slow down my mind and enjoy the process. I definitely just do a lot. I write, I read, do video editing, and I do videography. I'm a digital marketer, digital consultant. Now I'm hosting a podcast, doing analysis, just doing a lot for myself. And sometimes I get burnt out. Starting this new job as a digital marketer, working as a producer with this company, CGI Digital, being an assistant and producing these small projects, these video projects for these communities and all across this country. I had to take some time to myself to really learn this new role for mine that I'm really enjoying now. But now I'm back in a space where I can balance, have the work life balance. I'm able to put more of my priorities in the forefront, which is my video editing and my marketing for myself, and utilize everything I'm learning with my job, my occupation, to my personal endeavors that I'm doing now. That's what I'm able to do, is combine that work life and really enjoy every single facet of my individual life and use it as a benefit. And one thing that's helping me, gearing me, getting me fueled, all that energy and motivation, is going to the gym. I go to the gym every week and I'm running. I'm running around like 30 miles a month. And that's not a lot compared to the normal runners, but for me, that's just, it's shifted. It's groundbreaking that I'm actually running miles every week. The most miles I've ran was 4 miles in a day, and that was a lot. I'm starting to run 5Ks. I'm preparing to run another 5K coming up. Just doing a lot of things that is leaking into other facets of my life and helps me out. Eating better. I'm trying to not. I don't have sugar in my house. I'm getting natural sugars from the fruits I'm eating. Just trying to focus on my diet. Now the reason you do all of this, you truly want to understand everything, everything that you're doing in your life. All right. You really want to. All right. Now, the reason I say all of this is because it's about holistic wellness. It's about every single facet of your life: the physical, the mental, the soul, and integrating it all into one, combining it all, and understanding that it's all connected. It's all interconnected and helps you out. If you're able to have a better diet, you can be able to just have more energy throughout the day, work better, work harder, think smarter, and you're not slowing yourself down with all these fats, And that's the truth of it all. It's about me cultivating my skills, cultivating all of my learnings, all of my teachings, and the lessons that I'm learning to, you could say, advance, improve my arsenal, adding new things every single day. And changing my atmosphere is the best part about it too. I had to change my atmosphere, surrounding myself with people who impact me, who help me improve, who are motivating. One of them is my co-host, Jonathan. He's a hard worker. He's a singer, songwriter, video editor, videographer, and he'll be back on the show for next episode. My girlfriend, she's another person who is just a hard worker, and my family too, just in general. They really motivate me and they encourage me to continue to do what I'm doing. So I appreciate my mom, dad, my siblings, my cousins, my aunts, everybody that just plays a pivotal part in my life. Even if I'm not talking to you every day, even though if I'm not communicating every day, my cousins especially, I love you guys. Um, it's very motivating to keep going because I know you guys believe in me. I believe in y'all. So that's what I do. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I'm trying to be a hard worker. I'm trying to be sound at what I'm doing and to keep moving and directing my life is the same as I want to be directing films in the future, you know? That's what I want to do. There's act one, act two, act three. And right now I'm in act one. I'm always been in act one. And the story just continuing to go, continuing to grow and build. Now, A Day in a Sports Life is my very own product in that I created to allow me to express my love for sports and talk about the real world issues that relate to sports world. Just like my video essays series called Late Night Talk Radio, which allows me to go into depth with film and TV shows and analysis. It's in a culmination of my studies in college and my passion for once becoming a sports journalist. In the past, I wanted to be a sports journalist. Now, here I am. I'm the sports journalist. I'm the sports analyst on my own show that I create because I've been able to use these skills from film, from video editing to now produce my own platform to be a sports analyzer. Ain't that something, right? Use everything you can to help yourself out. You just can't get stuck in these mundane roles, these roles that don't help you out, they don't benefit you. Okay, now here I am, and it's all working out, and I just still gotta be humble, but at the same time, understand, be confident. And I built so much confidence. I mean, here I am doing this and just believing in the skills I have. That's the one thing I want to leave you guys with today is believing in the skills that you have. Understand you can be whatever you want to be. The world around you is falling. Motherfucker, it's burning. Every country out here is going to war. We're going to war internally. But is that going to stop you? Are you going to sit here and be sad? Well, the world's going to burn down. Fuck no. You get up off your ass and you get to work every fucking day. Okay? You have to. You have to keep going. You have to keep persevering. You have to keep motivating yourself when there's no one else around you or when you don't allow no one around you to motivate you and keep moving forward. Okay? Keep breaking those barriers. Because there will be a day where it will be your last. But all right, is that the story that you are fine, you're comfortable with? Was there so much out there that you could have done? Do it then. Do it. This is a day in a sports life. I am Dejan King, and I will see you next time.